I know why they do it, and it's because it's because Mercedes have a car in every single letter, if you know what I mean. And so they're all thinking, oh, we've got to have it as well, like BMW. Now they've filled Series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, haven't they? It's just, I think they're bringing out the X9 soon, aren't they? Or
they probably will. So
it's just it's a bit soul destroying, really. But then you've got to pan to the market, haven't you? And genuinely, the new Defender, I mean, I seriously wouldn't be able to get into a Discovery.
As I said when we were getting out of it, basically the 110 was great, but I'd want to try the 90. And I just think for what I use a car for, there's only me and Anne, it just makes more sense to have a 90.
I'm not Anne, by the way.
I don't, it's not very often I want to be carting 7 people around, is it? There's just 2 of us. And a little short.
Although, if you took it down to your nephews, I'm sure you'd score highly, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but they can still come in. It's 6. You can get a 6-seat option even at that, can't you?
Really?
So you get a centre. Like they'd love it, wouldn't they? Sat in the front, in the centre, like an proper old Land Rover.
Oh yeah, they'd be fighting over that.
Yeah. And it's as a kid in the centre, there's plenty of room for them. And you can still do 6 seats. So 4 adults, 2 kids, still works, and you've still got all your boot space still left. So even as a holiday vehicle, it works.
Yeah.
For just me and Anne, there's loads of storage space in the back, and hold the seats down. Go on holiday, camping or whatever. Just hold the seats down.
It's a similar width to this L322, or a bit wider.
Well, the Land Rover?
Yeah.
I would say it's about the same as this. Yeah. Feels similar.
Yeah.
But it's taller on the bonnet, isn't it? So it might be slightly wider, and that's giving you a bit of a perception of... Because it's certainly got a wide centre console in it, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's obviously where the seat in the 90 goes. But
yeah.
It is. Yeah, it's very nice.
But I wouldn't think the 90 you'd want 3 adults across the front.
No.
So 2 adults and a kid would be great. Be fine.
It's quite funny when you said you were going to go and test the new Defender, and even before when we watched all the blurb from Land Rover themselves and people's reviews, everything sounded the same. Land Rover on one hand were trying to link it to the heritage, and all the car reviewers were all saying, oh, it's not a Defender, it's something else. And it's but then if you were to make a Defender in this time period, that's exactly what that car would look like. Exactly what it would look like. It's a car of the time, isn't it?
Yeah. If they'd have, I don't know whether it would have worked better if they'd have said, well, we're not going to call it the Defender. It's the Defender replacement, but we're not going to call it a Defender. Maybe they'd have got away with it better. I don't know. But I think the whole sort of upset is all over using the Defender name on something that clearly isn't an old tractor, basically.
But then, what were you? I mean, an old Defender, they're cramped,
yeah,
and they're noisy, and the engines aren't powerful. You've really got to love that vehicle, to really be attached, to be attached to what it was, because it's...
Well, it seems to me like Land Rover almost admitted that by the last hurrah being the the cars that they took back in as second-hand cars and then produced them as V8s and give them a bit of oomph. It was like they're almost admitting we've never put the right engine in these cars, and this is the engine it should have had.
Yeah.
And you know, I'd love to get hold of one of them V8 works, just see what it goes like, but it's probably never going to happen because they're so rare as budgie's teeth. It's yeah, getting a proper factory produced V8 that actually had a bit of oomph, because the early V8s, they still had woefully poor brake horse on them. I think originally some of the Land Rover V8s, when they first did them, they were like on the Series 3, and they did a Stage 1 front end on it, so it was a flat front rather than a stepped front. And they actually made them permanent four-wheel drive as well, which was the difference on them. But they were only about 125 brake horse out of a 3.5 litre V8.
That's nuts.
So the last one that they did, I don't know what, I can't remember what the brake horse figures are on it, but I had a feeling it was just over 200 brake horse. Still not massive, but at least, you know, it seems like the right amount of grunt for a vehicle in this day and age. Because the problem with not having enough grunt is you struggle to keep up with modern traffic, don't you?
Yeah. There was no point where you thought, oh, there's not enough power in the vehicle.
But in that one?
Yeah, in the Defender.
There was the odd time the gearbox seemed to get, if you put your foot down and then you eased it off and just wanted to coast, so you sort of got up to speed and you wanted to coast, there was the odd time it hung onto the gears and thinking you were going to put your foot in again. And you know, if you're on a winding, twisting road, you might have done. But as it was, we were just sort of accelerating away to the speed you wanted to go down a straight at, and then it just hung onto the gear.
Yeah.
Not for long, but it was noticeable that it was hung onto it. Whereas, you know, a lot of cars would have sort of worked that out, and you could come off the throttle and they'd have changed. I suppose with a vehicle that heavy, the trouble is, if it changed up and then you did boot your foot in again, the change down would be a noticeable drag, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And lag. So there's probably reasons why they've tuned it that way. And it was only holding it on to about 3,000 revs or so, where you just felt, oh, it could be changing down now. But you've got to say, in 99% of the time, the gearbox always seemed to be on the right gear, and you know, it did what you wanted it to do.
It's no mean feat, really, considering what the vehicle's meant for, is it?
No, it's not. So this is a similar route that we took with the Defender. So we're just trying to give a bit of continuity to the video, really. And wasn't this the bit where we said the ride got a bit choppy on here? And yet this sort of smooths it out.
Yeah, it's because it's almost like you're walking in a giant's footsteps. The road just has these weird little dips in it.
Yeah, I would say the ride quality on this along here is better.
Yeah.
Not massively, but as a driver you can feel the difference.
I don't think most people would though, would they?
No, and that is the problem.